Okay, there he is. Okay. Okay, all right. I guess Trump um, went to trial today, and the judge, yeah, at least the energies from what I picked up on remind me of Atlantean times, where they're just so far gone mentally, and the corruption has taken over the mind. They can justify anything that they do. Of course, you're already seeing that with the Democratic Party. And of course, the Republicans aren't perfect either. They're a bunch of sad, whatever they are. But the judge energy feels very Atlantean. I think he was a cab driver too. But that power, just that power. So he's just doing whatever he feels like. So, uh, of course, he's a judge too. I guess they can't get kicked out. Well, I imagine they can get a new judge, possibly. But either way, during those times, it did have maybe not the type of judge that we have now, but they did have, as the vibrations became lower and lower, it's similar. So, yeah. And just basically delusional thinking, corruption beyond justification, just corruption as trying to make itself look as it's positive when it really isn't. Justifying itself and and the public isn't paying attention, so it can get away where most of the public can care less. So just fry the guy, no matter the corruption that the judge is doing. And so, you know, this is the lessons this is why we go through these lessons, because we're not learning them. And it's going to go on and on. We're just not. Some are. Most society keeps repeating history. Of course, Atlantean history, there isn't any history there, kind of. So, but yeah, this definitely has a vibration of the past. So we'll go into some of those energies. Of course, some of the corporations have those energies also. With the Atlantean corruption, of course. It goes beyond that, but either way, it has to do with just taking away your freedoms, putting a certain type of mentality there, and controlling society. Lovely. Of course, the secret societies are all behind a lot of this stuff, so enjoying every minute of it. Fritzy's here. Of course, she wasn't doing this earlier, and now she's at my feet pecking at me again. So very distracting. In the X-Files, this might be for newcomers. They probably don't know what it is, but the X-Files is like a alien disclosure. You don't hear about. Nobody's talking about. It's funny, all this disclosure, but nobody talks about the X-Files. Not what ones I pick up on. I've mentioned it in the past, but I don't mention it often. But there is some disclosure with shadow government energies. I mean, they're doing all kinds of alien stuff. And usually it was horror related. Well, it's also just for fictional purposes, but there was, they have to tell us what they're doing. And they did a lot of that in that show. They had the lone gunman about 9/11. So there's some stuff there. Of course, they talk about the FBI and all that. So secret shadow groups and all that. So it's like, there's some stuff there that they're not, hidden in plain sight. Let's put it that way. Of course, the only issue is we can't really. I mean, you can see the show, but you can't really, connect to a shadow government and kind of put the two of them together. But yeah, I remember they had a mountain of files. The one I saw recently. Oh, they had a lot of shapeshifters in there. Some shapeshifters, like when they get injured, their blood is like acid. That's fun. But the shapeshifters, always according to the show, was very human-like. So, which I believe that's what a lot of the ground crew are like, that we will never probably become aware of. So yeah, I believe there are alien beings here that tall whites do this. There's others, but tall whites definitely. They live among us. We will never know. Yeah, it's like a moment in X Files. We'll just never know about it. Just the way it is. I know they say there's not. Well, the beings can alter time and reality, so we can forget. Just like you see in the Men in Black, it can happen. So some things they let go, some things they cover up, and so on. Some things they let happen. So anything's possible. Of course, your average person doesn't believe in any of this and just probably living a happier life somewhere. So there's something else about that. I can't think of it. Was it the cigarette smoking man? That's a shadow government operative. Oh, that's right. They had an episode where a fighter jet crashed into a UFO. That was interesting. And UFO or alien, what was it? Hunter? I forgot the name of it. An alien bounty hunter looking for abductees. I guess they take them on their ships and torture them to death. I'm not sure what's going on with that. And that does exist for sure. That can definitely turn off a lot of people, that's for sure. But there's definitely there is some truth to a lot of that, unfortunately. I'm not sure how far they go about it anymore, but they definitely took it to a whole. Yeah, in the show they kind of take it to like one of the Saw movies, kind of like overboard. But there's probably some truth there somewhere. It's not fun. And the Antilla constellation, not the most exciting constellation. That's why I'm tapping into it. Just because it's kind of to a boring constellation and see what they have to say. There might be like 2 beings or 3 beings. There might not be anybody there. There's not much there, but something to tap into and get their perspective of our situation. See how it goes, at least. Okay. Where's our talk common prep sessions? I schedule it. We have a shop here. We have where we have it. Yeah, so it's not that exciting until I think I'm pronouncing that right. Antlia, whatever. Is that a snake? Really? It's a dragon. That doesn't look like a dragon. That doesn't look like a dragon either. I don't know what the hell it is. Beats the hell out of me. Oh, the dragon's right next to it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because that didn't make any sense. Yeah, pretty exciting. It's as boring as they get, isn't it? It's a small, faint constellation located in southern skies. Its name is an ancient Greek word for the pump. Oh, that's why I was like a pump. That's so boring. Oh, jeez. The pump. Okay, I got you. Air pump. That's what that is. God, it went from boring to super boring. Either way. All right, we'll just go from there. That's okay though. Boring is good compared to our world. Our chaos is the main timeline. So, all right. Okay, I'll go into Atlantean Judge and X Files. Energies. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I was going to do a little bit of that. That's for those that are not aware, that haven't seen. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's just a horror show, basically. People know about it, but yeah, jeez. The Monster of the Week movie, basically. There's where'd he a cigarette smoking man. Yeah. No, I don't want to go through all this. This gets kind of. That's in the movie, I think. I don't think I've seen the movie. I've seen parts of the movies. Yeah, so afraid of aliens. Yeah, this will get you. This will get you afraid of aliens for sure. I'm not sure. I think this is part of the movie or the Netflix version of it. I think it came back on Netflix for a short time. So that would definitely make people, pull away from aliens. After seeing that show, Aliens is probably the last thing you want to think about. Jeez. Yeah, but there is some disclosure stuff there for sure. So, okay, all right, we're going to Atlantean energies, and all right, here we go, blessings. Greens is Atlantean consciousness. Yes, there's a lot of energies that's with your Earth that's not always going to reveal itself for obvious reasons. The Atlantean, basically, our humans here are tapping into Atlantean timelines basically to alter reality to get whatever they want. And as a judge, you're pretty much kind of like a king. You don't have all the resources of a king, but there's a lot of power there, and abuse that's done worldwide, especially in Britain. As for the Atlantean frequencies, it's there for you to tap into. It's not exactly clear as day. It's not supposed to be because it has, you can say, mutated, changed within, Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, and so on. So, but the energy is still here. And the U.S., basically just showing the U.S. has not learned from the past mistakes. It would be nice if society would start. I mean, some portions of society are recognizing what's happening, but all of society is still looking the other direction. And that's how a snake works. It knows that nobody's really looking, so they can get away with it. I mean, there's a good amount, but they have no power to stop it. Now, if the power of the people went against it completely, all of this would be shut down. That's not happening. So that's why the timelines continue as they are. Eventually, they get canceled out when the corruption is so intolerable. It must find an end, but it's a slow end. Not to say the judge will be successful, but it's showing the arrogance. It's showing narcissistic energies. Which, when you have someone of that type of power, and it bleeds into to other attorneys and the corruption, especially when they're getting payoffs and so on, which you would never hear about for obvious reasons. They're here to take the energy. I mean, they're seeing how naive society is and taking advantage of it. Not that once again, not that they would be successful. And yes, the soul that's doing this will eventually find their day. Or karma doesn't always happen in this lifetime; it can happen in future lifetimes. But this one is, this judge is here to teach people a lesson, at least to show what corruption is there. So it's still up to the humanity. So not that you have to go out there and preach to society to have them become more aware of what's going on. You should not have to do that. Society should be able to figure it out on itself. It just ignores it. And what ignores, it'll come back to their door eventually in some form or another. Doesn't mean you have to know all the details of the corruption around the world. It doesn't mean all this is going to come back, but there are some situations where, you're here, you're going to have a wake-up call eventually. If you open up your eyes a little bit more, you'd be surprised how what you can avoid. If you're not really seeing what's happening to this world, it can happen through your family, it can happen to your friends. It just goes, why my life so turbulent? Because you're not really paying attention to anything but your own self. And you can pay attention to yourself, but sometimes it's good to have a more open view. Let's put it that way. because many do live in like a tunnel vision, not seeing the world until the world comes knocking. So the world is trying to get your attention, even disclose alien energies, spiritual energies, and obviously humanity wants us. Yes, humanity is shutting a lot of it down because humanity is very powerful here. It can shut down the spirit realms, and that's exactly what it's doing. And will continue to do that until it finally heals its the tension here. Brings us the consciousness of the shadow government. Yes, there's a lot of skeptical energies out there. Well, some are not wanting to go cross the line, go all the way. Doesn't mean you have to walk into a military base, but you can just, on a spiritual level, go deeper than your average person. And not many are ready for that. On their egos, like, oh, yes, I'm really big and tough, but they're really not ready to really go far. Well, just if you get abducted by aliens, how many people are going to scream and others like, just another day at the office? So, but there is a great deal here, but won't be able to handle it. The X-Files was showing the dark side because people are, as you know, they love their dark side. They love that chaos energies. They thrive off of not everybody, but quite a few. So they can be attracted to that energy. It's like it's another way of bringing in disclosure, but hidden. Oh, it's just a monster movie. No big deal. When they're saying a lot. They're not telling you everything, but they are giving you a good picture of what's out there. And they put on television alien energies and just say it's fiction, when in truth there is a lot of truth to it. A lot of it's kept away from you. And you say the questions are not being asked. I mean, some of you are asking, but the world is not asking. Obviously, when you see something like that, with abductions, it's just like, okay, let's not ask any questions. Let's just forget it even exists. But you are coming closer to those timelines. I mean, that's a huge awakening disclosure energy. As for the shadow government itself, the shadow government does like to expose itself without anybody noticing it. Use the word expose. Disclose, expose. It gives you a glimpse. It doesn't show you everything, but and even the dark side can do this. Not always the light is showing itself. The dark side is just showing they can do whatever they feel like. And society is just so oblivious and doesn't pay attention. So if some of you are getting like a knock on the door, you can say, for shadow government energies, or some like you're being told, what's out there. Let's put it that way. You get at least 3 or 4 chances to notice it. It's not just one time and that's it. It could be more blunt to. It can be in number forms. It could be, just feel like you're being directed to know a little bit more. So, but others obviously shut it down for obvious reasons. Well, the curtain can be opened here. You can see it all. Well, it's not going to happen, but it can be done. And doesn't mean that the dark side was just like, oh, we just lost and yada, yada, yada. But they know society is not ready, so they push. They push hard to see if you're ready, obviously. And they are allowing, I mean, they can't control everything, but there's been some alien sightings recently throughout this year. There's been some strange weather anomalies also, which they're never going to talk about. But yes, I'll make a nice episode on X-Files. I'm going to. And nobody will believe it. Some will. And so they have to be careful of how much they disclose also, especially like with the Simpsons. They can say the Simpsons just taps into those timelines. Whether they're looking for, something to make a show about. So they're grabbing from all kinds of places. And they just happen to see a version of the future. They're just, say it's the psychic side of some of those working on the show. It's an alternative time. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it can help it to occur. It doesn't mean it will. They do get a lot wrong. Well, it just timelines that never happened. Let's put it that way. But they do connect to some accuracy. So, and the collective agrees to it very slowly. Maybe too slow for a lot of you out there. But that's the collective consciousness. Well, this world is not ready. I mean, it's obviously you see with the Greek, the mythology of your past, monsters come out of the sea and things like that. How many people are wanting to go back to it? Those beings still exist. They're in the fourth dimension. They're not being shown. I mean, they can appear here physically. They choose not to, but doesn't mean you'll bring that realm completely back. But there is realms where you'll bring back. But obviously, humanity is not looking for that. Well, it can. With the idea for those creatures to be seen, because they're no longer in this. The fourth dimension is no longer cloaked. Humanity is able to handle it. Doesn't mean you can be a part of a place that's peace. Of course, many here need to go through this darkness still and be chased by the creature, and while others of you are just sitting on a bar watching it. Some people just need to be chased by a creature. Yes, go through their victim mentality, and some of you are just like, okay, well, that's your path. That was entertaining. Blessings. Greetings to you. We are the Antlia Constellation, however you want to. Well, yes, we're a constellation that's not too complicated. We are observers. We do have some of our people or beings as people on your planet. We are basically an energy source, really. We have worlds not like yours, but more, gas-like planets. But our frequency basically is just to be unseen. Those of us that are here probably don't know who they're connected to. It's not the most popular frequency. We are also healers too. Like healers where we heal and don't even know we even did it and just walk away, stay in the distance. Yeah, it's kind of like the invisible energy. It's not that we're trying to be invisible. It's just that we're not here to attract a lot of attention. And sometimes our viewpoints are not exactly accepted by the collective. Yes, we can be too front. We can too, cold, you can say, to a certain level. When you're working in a world like this, it's hard to have a lot of compassion for it, at least what's happening. And we do have compassion for it. We might not always sound like we have compassion for it. Well, because we keep a lot of this, your world's going through out of our field, but we're definitely observers of it, not to judge it for sure. We know it has a process of it. Just some are so holding on to this world as they're, they do get offended by it when others are, saying it's the world, this planet's problems, basically, on a level that we're not going to go into it here, but at a level that can be, some feel offended because being connected to the nerve system of it. Basically, our energies can heal a great deal of it. But of course, yes, the darkness here has to be called out on a massive scale. Well, basically, you as humans to see it more clearly even before it happens. Well, you see the darkness like a mile away or a couple of days before it occurs and know how to avoid it or know how to heal it also, basically to compromise, bring out a better frequency and end the madness. So your world might not want that, but it can be done. Well, basically, the idea is to bring more peace here. And yes, when you come to a neutral state, it's, like when you see darkness, that's entertaining for some, others don't find it that entertaining. But at least you can see it. Here it's so hidden. I mean, it's here, but hidden. And so on. Some say they don't like darkness, but then they just bathe in it. And the ego here is difficult to heal. We don't trust anything. They're not wanting to trust. They're not wanting to connect more. Like a male's not ready to connect to their feminine side of just letting go of the masculinity. I mean, it can still have masculinity, but to release the programming of it and just bring in more of just a calmness here so you can all think more clearly. So it's like, you'd be surprised how many don't want to know about themselves. So they put a block up. There's a lot of blocks here. So that's why the world goes so slow. Because like many are running from themselves. Let's put it that way. And they don't even know it. And not that you need to call that out. It's like, it's good for somebody just to figure it out. Which I haven't, yeah. So,